It began as a routine transatlantic flight. But somewhere over the vast Atlantic Ocean, 306 people found themselves in a silent aircraft, both engines dead, with only water below. This is the true story of Air Transat Flight 236, the pilot who pulled off one of the greatest emergency landings in aviation history, and how a near disaster turned into a miracle. On August 24, 2001, Air Transat Flight 236 took off from Toronto Pearson Airport in Canada, headed to Lisbon, Portugal. The aircraft, an Airbus A330, was one of the safest and most advanced airliners of its time. The flight crew included Captain Robert Pichet, a 48-year-old with over 16,000 flight hours, and a calm, no-nonsense demeanor. Beside him sat First Officer Dirk de Jager, just 28, but highly capable. For over 4 hours, the flight progressed normally. Passengers relaxed, watched movies, ate dinner, and drifted off to sleep. Nothing seemed unusual, until a small warning light blinked in the cockpit. The crew noticed a fuel imbalance. The right wing tank was losing fuel faster than expected. Initially, they believed it was a minor issue, perhaps a software error or uneven transfer between tanks. They adjusted fuel valves manually, hoping to correct the imbalance. But in reality, fuel was leaking quickly due to a maintenance error made before takeoff. A hydraulic line on the right engine had been improperly installed. That tiny oversight would now endanger hundreds of lives. By the time the crew fully understood the severity, it was already too late. Just after 6:13 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, at cruising altitude over the Atlantic Ocean, the right engine flamed out. Fuel pressure was gone. Captain Pichet and First Officer de Jager began descending the plane, radioed air traffic control, and headed for the nearest land, Lajes Air Base, a military airstrip on Terceira Island in the Azores, still 75 nautical miles away. But then, something unimaginable happened. The left engine failed. Complete loss of thrust. The Airbus A330, one of the largest passenger planes in the world, had become a 230-ton glider. Most commercial pilots will never experience a dual engine failure in their careers. This crew was suddenly flying without power, at 33,000 feet, over open ocean, with more than 300 passengers depending on their every move. The A330, fortunately, is capable of gliding about 15 nautical miles per 1,000 feet of altitude. At their height, they could possibly reach land, if they flew perfectly. The crew declared a mayday. Oxygen masks deployed. Cabin pressure dropped. Flight attendants moved quickly to prepare for an emergency landing. Some passengers wept. Others prayed. The cabin was tense but orderly. Captain Pichet, a former bush pilot and military flyer, relied on instinct and decades of experience. Together, he and de Jager performed complex calculations to keep the aircraft level and on course. As they approached the Azores, another issue emerged: hydraulic failure. With no engine power, they had lost the systems that controlled brakes, rudders, and flaps. Still, they managed to lower the landing gear manually using gravity, a process called free fall extension, but only partially. The tires wouldn't be fully inflated. The brakes would be weak. The steering would be minimal. This wasn't just a powerless landing. It was nearly blind, uncontrolled, and unforgiving. At 6:45 a.m., after 19 minutes of gliding, the runway of Lajes Air Base came into view. Pichet lined up the aircraft. The descent was steep. The speed, higher than ideal. But there was no time to circle, no way to slow down. The A330 touched down hard. The tires exploded. The aircraft skidded violently down the runway, sparks flying. And then, it stopped. Against all odds, everyone survived. All 293 passengers and 13 crew members walked away from the wreckage. Some were injured. All were in shock. But there were no fatalities. Investigators later discovered that during routine maintenance, an incorrect hydraulic component had been installed. The faulty part led to a massive fuel leak that went undetected for hours. Yet because of extraordinary flying, split-second decision-making, and flawless coordination between pilots and crew, disaster had been averted. Captain Robert Pichet became a national hero. But he remained humble, always crediting his crew, his company pilot, and his training. This incident changed aviation. It led to new safety checks, better fuel monitoring systems, and greater awareness of hydraulic installation procedures. Today, Flight 236 is studied by pilots worldwide as a masterclass in emergency aviation. It reminds us that even in the face of mechanical failure, human skill can still make all the difference. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to AeroMysteries for more real-life aviation close calls, mysterious crashes, and sky-high investigations. Let us know in the comments, what would you do if your plane lost both engines over the ocean? Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay curious, and keep your eyes on the skies.